Welcome back to Lotus on Track. We're here at Brands Hatch for the final race of the season for the Lotus Cup UK. The safety car's just gone in. The race is being led by Mark Fullilove in the silver car with Steve Williams in hot pursuit in second. But the big news is that this man, Ken Savage, the championship leader, has got a very serious problem there with his Elise, which has been smoking heavily. The pit window is just on the cusp of opening, and he's been nursing that car for the past couple of laps to make sure he can get it in within that pit window slot. He's about to go a lap down to the race leader, Mark Fullilove, and is Ken going to peel it in this time? The window is just about open, and yes, Ken Savage now ducks into the pit lane, and it will be time for the mechanics to get to work to see just how serious that problem is and whether we can get Ken back into the race, because really his advantage is such he just needs to get that car to the finish with a few points, and he's done enough to be champion. So he crawls down the pit lane and turns straight into the garage. White smoke ahoy, the marshals all ready as the steam vents itself out from the engine bay. Mechanics getting to work at the rear of the car. Unfortunately, at the moment everything's just too hot to touch. They need to let it cool down really before they can investigate what the issue is. So Ken Savage sits in the pit lane, which is about to get very busy with all the pit windows. Meanwhile, we've got a challenge here from Andrew Wright, who looks to the inside in Paddock Hill Bend, trying to make the move. That's pretty tight, and he doesn't quite squeeze through. It's Anthony Dunn around the outside who held on. So it's now advantage Steve Quick in the yellow car. He needs to finish 6th or better if Ken Savage retires from the race. And at the moment he's doing enough, but he is in a ferocious battle here within the production class, and this is the last thing that Steve really wants. Dave Carr and Stuart Plotnet right on his tail, and Steve's going to go fairly deep into the pit window. He accelerates on to start another lap. Plenty of others spitting early. Well, I don't think, judging by that smoke, we'll be seeing much more of Ken Savage, because if you've got that much coming out of the rear of the car, it generally means it's looking pretty terminal. So work continuing apace in the pits, the racing continuing on track, and it's Stuart Plotnek in the white 52 car looking to challenge the green machine of Dave Carr. Vital Chauhan also in the mix. It's a good drive from Vital. Simon Deacon and Glenn Sherwood pit in. Mark Gooday as well, about to hop back in to his 340R. Andrew Wright, another driver, taking his turn to peel into the pits. Let's see what the news is from Ken Savage's garage.
So what's the problem with the car here?
Fairly serious engine problem by the looks of it. Ken had a spin on some oil. It's gone off, he's picked up some gravel. We don't know if it's got into a belt or into the engine in some way, but the engine's cooking itself and melting all the belts. And
do you think you're going to be able to fix it?
We need to get him to complete 75% to get him classified. It's not looking like that at the moment.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
Well, disaster there for Ken Savage, and it rather sounds like that spin we saw at Druids just before the break. He's ingested something in the car, and that's what's caused the problem. Daryl Burgess presiding as ever over the Brands Hatch pit lane, which is very busy with plenty of comings and goings. Simon Deacon and Mark Gooday go back into the race, which at the moment is completely turned on its head as we're waiting for all the runners to make their mandatory pit stop. And only once that's done will we really see who have been the winners and the losers. The safety car just before the pit window opening, of course, bunching the field up. She's going to make this much closer race in the second half than perhaps, well, certainly Mark Fullilove in the race would have liked. Jamie Stanley now at the wheel of the 47 car, and David Fenn in the Go Green Motorsport 66 machine. David Harvey rejoins the action. Here comes the race leader, Mark Fullilove. So Fullilove, the race leader, peeling into the pit lane, which is currently occupied. He wants to park exactly where the Lotus Europa of Campbell Cassidy and Matt Cherrington is. The team are talking to Mark. Out goes the Europa, and now Mark Fullilove's squad can get him into the right pit box. So not really what Mark was looking for in his pursuit to win this race. He's stationary in the pits all the while, so it's not really counting against his pit stop time. Also in is the 86 car of Jonathan Mobbs. Steve Williams is heading back out onto the track. Now there is Mark Speller, who is Steve Quick's team manager, looking on anxiously. Right, here comes Steve into the pits, and I'm sure that Mark will be telling him now that Ken is out of the race. So a little bit of fuel going in. 6th or higher, the instruction there from Mark Speller to Steve Quick. Steve knows now exactly what his task is in the second half of the race. He's getting ready to go back into the car. Wide eyes, he knows he's on the cusp of a championship, but he still needs to negotiate the next few laps. So he gets buckled back into the cockpit. He'd like to be fed out onto an empty track. As David Fane gets a push, we'll catch up with his son, Rob.
How was the first stint, Rob?
Hard work. Yeah, unfortunately I had a spin at Druids on there was a production car stuck on the apex of the corner and a bit of fluid, so I sort of sympathetically spun behind him. So it cost us a bit of time. So we're praying for another safety car.
Glenn, first one out, how was it?
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, the weather's good, the track was good. Apart from a fair bit of oil on the track, particularly at Druids, and we had a small issue with the ABS braking system, which is intermittent. So it comes on and goes off, which is a little bit concerning when you're into high-speed braking. But
Is it a big problem?
no, it will work. It'll be fine, and Jamie will drive around that, so that'll be good.
Back out into the race goes Mark Fullerlove, who was leading for the pit stops. We'll find out in a couple of moments' time if he's still in the lead, but it's now time to hear from the man of the moment, Ken Savage.
Absolutely gutted. This is the first time the car's failed all season, so had to go right now. Just a sad way to lose the championship.
And can you confirm what the problems were with the car?
Engines just failed.
And now it's all on Steve Quick to see what happens to him. If he doesn't, of course, finish, then I'm sure you'll be delighted to take that championship. It's going to be a close one.
Absolutely. If Steve finishes, he's going to take it. So, and I suspect he probably will.
Very disappointed, Ken Savage there in the pits, and he has worked so hard this season. You can see why, both in terms of the car preparation, also Ken's driving has just come on leaps and bounds during the course of the year. A bitterly disappointing way to round out his season, but there is still plenty of racing to go, not least between this pair of 340Rs as Mark Gooday puts the pressure onto David Harvey. Mark Fullerlove has emerged in lead the race and is pulling away from Steve Williams all the while. This is looking very comfortable for Mark Fullerlove. Here's Steve Quick, who is embroiled in battle with Dave Carr. This isn't really what he wants. They are fighting it out for third position in the production class. Steve only needs to finish 6th or better. He's got a couple of production cars as well homing on his tail. So anxious times ahead possibly for Steve Quick in the remaining moments of the race. Yes, he moves aside, perhaps unsurprisingly, to enable Steve Grove to go through, who's not in a production class car. It's an open class car for Steve Grove, but Steve Quick just wants to stay well out of trouble. At the moment he's managing to do just that. So we've got a drive-through penalty being served there by the Lotus Europa. Campbell Cassidy and Matt Sherrington rejoins the race, no problems done, as Jamie Stanley challenges Pete Story up the hill towards Druids. Jamie having taken over from Glenn Sherwood, who we were hearing from earlier on. And that car has got braking problems, let's not forget. So down the hill into Graham Hill Bend, hard braking area. Jamie successfully negotiates the corner without running wide or into Pete Story. And this is the fight for third in the race overall. So Pete in third, Jamie Stanley moment in fourth, but he is in the lead of the Exige Cup. Across the grass he goes, trying to find any which way past the 211 of Pete Story. This one's going to go all the way to the checkered flag. Jamie is a hard charger, last year's Avantars British GT4 champion as well. Experienced driver, very quick driver, but then so's Pete Story. We've seen Pete put in some superb efforts as well during the course of the season. But we're into the closing stage of the race now, and Mark Fullerlove looking well set to claim another victory in the Lotus Cup UK. He's just got the length of the Ram Straight to go, and Steve Quick has got one lap of the Brands Hatch Indy circuit between himself and the championship. The flag goes out and Fullerlove takes the win in the final race of the season. In the end, by quite some margin over Steve Williams. It's been a dominant display by the ex-British Touring Car Championship man Mark Fullerlove, and he thoroughly deserves the applause of the marshals and the crowd around the circuit. So here is the final classification, with Fullerlove taking the win from Steve Williams, and Pete Story did just edge out Jamie Stanley. So he and Glenn Sherwood claim fourth, Simon Deacon fifth, Tom Chataway fifth, Marcus Jewell slipping seventh, and then a great result for Doug and Chris Setters in eighth position. In terms of classes, well, Mark Fullerlove, Steve Williams and Pete Story round out the 211 podium. The Exige Cup won by Glenn Sherwood and Jamie Stanley from Jonathan Mobbs. The open class, it was the Setters from Campbell Cassidy and Matt Sherrington, and then David and Rob Fenn. And in the production class, Stuart Plotneck taking excellent victory from Adam Busey and Dave Carr. The drivers celebrate on the podium as they get the rounds of applause. Championship organisers are down in the pit lane with a pen and pencil trying to work out exactly who has claimed this year's championships. But for now, Mark Fullerlove celebrating his victory on the podium.
Mark, congratulations. You made your race look easy. How was it?
I wouldn't say it was easy. It went fairly well. Had to make my way through back markers and stuff. It was a bit dicey at times, but yeah, very pleased with the result. Safety car came out, and Steve was sort of right on my tail, so I was quite worried about that for a few laps. But no, it went well. Thank you.
How did your car hold out?
The car was good. Had a slight issue with third gear a couple of times, but generally, yeah, very consistent.
Well, here are the final championship standings. In the 211s, it was Steve Williams who took the title from Mark Fullerlove and Simon Deacon. The Evora's Gregory Rass on his visits across the channel taking the title, with Glenn Sherwood winning in the Exige Cup. Shame to start season. Vital Chahun, novice to champion in 4 seasons straight. But the production class, it was Steve Quick who held on, so he wins the production championship and also takes the championship overall from Ken Savage by 13 points, with Steve Williams in 3rd and Vital Chahun 4th, with Mark Fullerlove an excellent 5th position, having not completed the whole season. Well, this is what the drivers were all dreaming of back in March at Snetterton, coming onto the podium to receive their championship trophies and getting a very, very well-deserved round of applause from the Lotus community. It's a very friendly paddock. It's been an excellent season's racing. We've thoroughly enjoyed the Lotus Cup UK and can't wait for it to be back bigger and better next season. But Steve Quick is our champion.
Congratulations. I know you're really happy. You were interviewed a while back. I think you came last, was that right? And now you're first.
Thank you. In fact, I came last whole season, first time when I started. So it's been a long season, but it's well worth it. I'm really enjoyed it. It's been the best thing I've done in my life.
Congratulations, well done. How was your race?
Very good in the end. A bit tense towards the end. Jamie was giving it some stick with obviously Pete Story, so it was quite a tense end. But result was the result.
Another trophy to take home. Yeah, it's been a good year.
You gonna be back next year?
Well, we always get to this point and go, oh, thank God it's over. And I've been racing for 24 years now, and you think, oh, I must retire at some point. But yeah, we'll be back. Of course we will.
Steve, overall winner and in production, how are you feeling?
Relieved and very happy indeed.
You always seem so nervous when you come up here and talk to me.
I am. It is nervous talking to you.
Tell me a bit about your season.
Well, when the cars suffered a few niggly bits and pieces that have gone wrong, a few electrical items failed on it, and it's put me out of a few races that we would have done much better had it not been for that.
You're going to be back next year?
Yeah. We're down for next year as well. So hopefully we've ironed out all the niggles of the car this year, and we should be less up and down next year and not leave it to the last race, I hope.
What a sad end to the race for Ken Savage, but a fantastic end for Steve Quick and the rest of the drivers. Join us after the break for more.